Yo, welcome to Wednesday's Revival. Today, we're answering, not asking, we're answering the question, is the ZCam E2S6 a good camera for wedding filmmakers? Let's find out. If you are looking at getting the ZCam over a Red Komodo or over a Sony a7S III, I would go with... So I've had the ZCam for about a year, so I feel like I've got some pretty good opinions on it, but also my workflow is different from others, so my opinions will differentiate based on the workflow. So we'll go with the pros and the cons, and I had to write them down because I'm not going to remember all of them. So I'm going to start with the bad news first, and I'll go back and forth. So your first con, it can be heavy if you make it so. After putting a cage, rods, battery, matte box, monitor, after you put everything on it, it can get heavy for an 8 to 10 hour day. It's hard to use like stabilizers or supports, like if you have the crane, like an easy rig. If it's like a smaller wedding, you can't be walking around with this crane because you're gonna be drawing all the attention. You're also gonna stick out like a sore thumb when at weddings, you almost wanna be a fly on the wall. You have times where you can get off the wall, but for most of the wedding, you're in the background. You don't wanna attract any attention because it's about the bride. So it can get heavy, but you can rig it into a good run and gun setup. You can just use the NPF battery on the back. You can keep a zoom lens on it, so a Sigma 18-35, because with that 4K crop, it'll turn into another lens, basically. You can make it into a run and gun setup, and you can, you'll be able to withstand the weight for a long wedding day. Now let's move to a pro. The cinema style 6K footage is glorious. It's got the perfect buttery footage that gives a real film-like look. It doesn't look over digitalized. Dang, words. English, that was rough. It doesn't look over digitalized. Oh shoot. It looks good, it looks smooth. I absolutely love the picture that comes out of it. I have still been using it for weddings. This is my main camera because of how the quality of the footage looks. With that, we're gonna kind of lean back into another con, is the rolling shutter. Now, if you don't know what the rolling shutter is, that's basically when you swipe a camera really fast and the camera kind of lags. This is a good explanation. This is rolling shutter. So that isn't super fun to look at. So if you're gonna do run and gun, fast paced, 24 frames, like I like to do a lot of the couples running with the sun as a backlight, it doesn't look as pretty with the rolling shutter. Now let's go to another pro. We have the low light capabilities, which I could be wrong, but I feel like the low light capabilities of the ZCam is comparable, if not better, than a lot of Sony's. I wonder how many comments are like, you're completely wrong. You're completely wrong, the Sony. But there have been times when I have had the Sony a7 III and the ZCam, which I know the a7 III isn't the newest Sony camera, but I've had that next to the ZCam, and there have been times where the ZCam looks so much better at low light than the Sony. Either or, the ZCam has really good low light for when you get to a reception, whether it's outdoors or the indoor reception where you might bring some lights. If you forget, the low light works decent enough. Now let's go to another con, and this con is a big one that I have not experienced, but I would hate to experience it. I don't know if they fixed this or not, because I heard about it when I first got the camera and then I've never looked back into it. The ZCam, if you're recording internally, so you want to do that run and gun setup, you've got a CFast card in there. If your NPF battery dies on you while you're recording, whatever you were recording is deleted. I don't like that at all. So if a bride wants a full ceremony video and you've got, like, it's a 30, 45 minute ceremony and then your battery dies and everything's gone, better have another camera recording, because I would not want to be on the receiving end of that. But how I do it with me using the Atomos Ninja with a Angelbird SSD, since my monitor is my external recorder, if the battery dies, then the monitor won't delete that recording. Like, it'll keep that recording. With that, you can record 6K ProRes RAW with the Atomos Ninja or the Atomos Shinobi on the ZCam, which will give you 60 frame or 6K up to 30 frames. You can do 4K 60 ProRes, but when you do that 4K 60, there's a crop factor, like I said, but I'm okay with that because I don't do many slow motion shots that are 18 millimeter. A lot of the times they're cropped into 40 or 50 millimeters, so it doesn't hurt my workflow. But if you wanted to go with the CFast option, internally you can do 6K up to 60 frames, which is quite amazing. But it is it's a crop factor of the 241. Is that what it is? When it shrinks it into that cinema look, that, you know, crop bars, the cinema look, which I do that on every video I do, so I'm okay with it. I've actually used this video this camera for real estate. I kept it really run and gun, popped it on a gimbal, and then 6K 60 for a couple of real estate videos. If you are looking at getting the ZCam over a Red Komodo or over a Sony a7S III, I don't know if we can compare those or not, I would go with the ZCam because it's one of those cameras that is not a big name brand. It's getting bigger, but it's not a big name brand, but it has the quality of a big name brand. And it has a Super 35 sensor, which for those who are still using hybrid or stills cameras, that is a APS-C sensor. But when you get into the cinema world, there are a lot more lenses for that Super 35. You can also still use full frame lenses. There's just a crop factor, different video. But let me know, put in the comments if you're interested in a ZCam E2S6, because I vote you go for it. Oh, I do this to every pin. I love y'all, really do. If you have any questions about the ZCam, put them in the comments or hit me up on Instagram, however you need to get to me. It only takes one to get you a ZCam E2S6. It only takes one to go book your first wedding if you haven't gotten one yet. It only takes one to make a change. It only takes one to change the world, and that could be you. See you next time.
Wow. Hello? Tom? Nice to see ya. Tom.